you. Hi everyone, welcome to the world of magic and miracles. Once again, we're here to talk about advancement in all sorts of different ways. And today I'm going to bring a few energies into play that you've probably never felt before. So one of the things that is important for the future is your ability to actually visit the future. And if you can't visit the future, you don't really know what you're in for. What I'll do is gradually connect with each one of you as I talk, and then I'll just allow that special energy that comes from another place to come in and fill your whole aura, everything around you and everything beyond you, so that there is no connection to all the things that you have seen in the past. There's only a connection to your ability to move into the future. It's not going to take long for that to happen. But as I talk, I can feel each one of you starting to come online. So it gives me a little bit of a feedback that may look a bit strange or delay me a little as I speak. But as each one of you connects, the special energies from other places become available. And although they're not here on a regular basis at this time, as you get used to the feeling, you will generate those same energies. So the movement of every moment is something that you all are interested in. I can talk a lot about what stops you doing that, and all that'll do is make it the most important thing in your life. I'm not interested in what's happening now. I'm interested in what's happening in the future for each and every one of you. And as I push a little further into the energy, you'll feel that there's nothing much that can stay in your field. Everything you try to focus on will gradually disappear, so that you're standing in a void with the only thing available to you is the future. And once you move forward in that future, it will skip around behind you and start to appear in your life. The definition of future is actually a little bit upside down, screwed up, whatever you like to call it, because the future is the mechanism by which you experience now. And if you can't access it to change the experience, then you're in a control system that keeps going around in circles. Just like if you kept looking out the back window of your car, you wouldn't get very far without running into something. So many of the things that you run into in the world are because you're not looking forward. It sounds strange, but looking forward is not with your eyes. Looking forward is a knowing that exists within every one of us. But it also exists around you. It exists independent of time, and it allows you the opportunity to enjoy everything because you don't have to have any conditions. The simplicity is, if you take in the complex network that hooks us all together, then you don't have to worry about it. You simply go to the future and stand there. And you'll find when you first get there, you don't recognize it because you haven't been projecting into that area for a long time. The reason is not important. Advancement is the excitement of doing virtually what you think now is impossible. But in fact, it's never been impossible. It just got excluded from this earth through interactions that don't need to be expressed anymore. It's like if you pass a busy corner, you don't focus on it because there's another one coming up. We've passed a lot of busy corners, and where we're going right now is not explainable in the terms of where you've been. It's only explainable in the terms of where you're going. And if I reduce the time factor, where you're going and where you are now, the same place. We have to distort the reality to allow us to actually advance into the future. And that is happening as we speak. We're actually bending reality. And you can call it an energy, but it's much more than that. It's the source of everything of which you are part of. And you're not a little part. If you study fractals, everybody has known about the fact that a small part is reflected in a big part, but also a big part is reflected in the small part. So the image of the world appears in a drop of water because it's exactly the same and it has the same qualities and it can do the same things. It can generate exactly at a different level everything the Earth can generate. So it's really easy to connect with everything. You only have to connect with whatever's dearest to you. That can be a feeling, a scent, and right now it's a vibration that's increasing every moment as I speak. So why am I bringing this here to everybody? It's because I don't know any different. It's like, why do you walk? It's because you're a person who walks. It's not because of anything else. So each one of you need to advance because that's the nature of your being. And you need to advance not by proof of measurement, but by the fact that you feel you've advanced. No other reason, no other measure. So what I'm about to do is take you a little bit further, and you'll feel a little bit of a vibration. And I just want to move a few things just to let you feel that it's possible. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you will feel the movement. So as we do these strange moves, it's just a case of there is no focus, there is no focal length, but I can change anything, anywhere in an instant. And this is where you're all going. The second you feel that something's changed, you know that it changed exactly the way you wanted it. So what I'm doing is accessing your own control system to let you feel that it exists everywhere. So you can live in the perfection of the smallest thought you've ever had. But it doesn't generate from where you are now. It's always there. There's always a place. There's always a spot within every one of you and outside of every one of you that is perfect. It's that spot that's generates no noise. And when you get there, the music of silence is brilliant. It's really important that you realize that with your eyes open, you can be anywhere. With your eyes shut, you can only be in one place, on the edge of sleep, or meditation, which is a movement that gives you nothing but the restricted part that you've selected. So in advancing, you've got no knowledge of how to do anything. You just do it. And it's not a physical thing. The second you want to know how your child is, you can tap in and find out. Every second of every day, all of our inputs are active in every part of the world. And we understand how to destroy that great feeling. We don't understand that it's not destroyable. So every time you feel something's destroyed, it's just because you're not where you're supposed to be. You didn't go to that place where there's nothing wrong. You went to the place where there's something wrong, but therefore it's the wrong place. And it's as simple as that. You go to the place where there's nothing wrong, and then explore it. Everything around us is set up to try and take that away. But that's because we didn't go there. And we tried to build something in the wrong place to make it look like that space that is perfect for us. And in a second, you can be there, eyes wide open, doing whatever you like, and the whole nature of what you do changes. It's easy. Everything works. Why? Because you determined it. But you didn't determine it by thinking or by watching somebody else. You determined it by going there. And I said yesterday, you know, it's not much use watching somebody have another shower if you want to get wet. You have to get in the shower. So experiencing everything is about simply experiencing it. It's not about standing back and saying, I wish. It's not about saying, well, I'll create one for myself. You know where you're supposed to be every minute. And it doesn't matter where you are in a physical sense if you're physically everywhere. Because all the inputs are important, everyone. All the experiences are important. But there's a unique part of us that can navigate all those 0 points no matter what's happening around us. And we are that sensitive that we can shut our eyes and all walk across the floor and not run into one another. It's been proven many times. The sensitivity that you get when you focus in a particular area is about, it's not even a millionth of the sensitivity you've got with your eyes open when you're not doing a process. When you're multifunctioning, when you're outside this world, inside it, expressing everything, everywhere, smelling the flowers. Everything about you starts to switch on. And that's when your eyes start to sparkle. And that's when your spirit shows. And that's why a child is always all over the place chasing their spirit. And for a moment, if you just consider how much you have to move your own being just to stay with your spirit, you can't get the smile off your face because it's flipping around everywhere and you can track it. And it builds everything for you. And that's your whole energy system alive and heading to do everything that nobody else can do. Because it doesn't care about your thoughts. It doesn't care about anything. It's off. Like Peter Pan. Flicking around all over the place and switching things on and off, changing your focus, letting you see things, letting you not see things, directing you away from danger, putting you in the best light every second. So you may ask, well, what do I do to achieve that? And the answer is just go there all the time. You know where to stand, you know where to sit, you know where to chase. But you can't do it if you're fixed. You have to be willing to separate all your components and let them fly. And even just by doing that, you can feel all your parts starting to come loose and move. And they can move as far as you like. And you don't become fragmented. You actually feel better. So the less of you that you have in the physical body, the better you feel. How strange is that? Go to the top of a mountain with a nice breeze and you put your hands in the air and you say, oh, this is fabulous. Because your whole being is game enough to lift out of your body and take the pressure off it. It's not supposed to have much in it. It's the focus of many, many holograms. Every one of those Tinkerbell sparkles is where each dimension focuses to show a part of you in this world. And that part in behind the sparkle is a dimension that provides infinite resources into the personal being that sits here now. And if you think of all the sparkles, all the dimensions where the hologram of you in another form is available, you can tap in on anything at any time. And you can feel it. If I touch them, they start to tingle. And all that feeds into you, and your being becomes much, much more capable than what you can ever use. And it will turn your brain off and you smile on. Can't do anything else but exist in that perfection of motion. It's always moving, it's always exciting, it's always chasing nothing. But your spirit will take you into areas where you've never been before. It'll give you capabilities, even in your workplace. People see your eyes sparkle, see how you move amongst things that they're totally frightened of. How you get systems, just tear them to pieces and say it's easier this way. This is how the world goes ahead, through the movement of your own spirit. And everyone looks at the person who's got bright shiny eyes and is really going for it. But once again, they don't step under the shower. They look at the other one and go, oh, that's great. You're game enough to do the impossible, and it won't be impossible. So if we just look at a few more things, there is a reality that each one of you develops. There's a persona for every part of your life that you build. If you're going to the movies, it's different to if you're going to the beach. If you're with a friend, it's different to if you're with an enemy. If you're in the car, you know, sometimes people turn into animals. But they're personas that are built by each person. That is actually one of the simplest tasks in everyone's life. And they use it to destroy themselves as well. The second you see that you just built something, or somebody else sees that you built something, you have to hide it because it's going to disappear. So you spend half your life running around hiding the source of everything so that nobody can make you feel better. In what we're doing, you'll start to laugh at one another and say, I caught you out. You've got your such and such face on today. And that is the interaction of spirit, because spirit will just be so mischievous, mischievous. It will jump in there and make you say things or do things that you normally wouldn't. And then it'll just break the pattern so that you can step out into nowhere and be in your own future. Everything I demonstrate, you've experienced every day, but you haven't seen what it's like where I come from, where everything is perfect all the time. And I walk around here and try to copy what everybody does, and I find that that's really difficult. It's easier just to not take any notice and go, well, if I get into trouble, I can probably get out of that anyway. So why worry? And the closer you get to the trouble, the more it disappears. The closer you walk to anything, the quicker it changes. Because it's your field, what you know about you, it changes everything around you. So you know that you come from a different place, but you don't know the character of it. You're crazy. Why didn't you just go there and bring it back? So easy. Get up in the morning and say, I don't like the way this is at the moment. I'll go to where it's great. And you won't even move your body an inch. But the rest of you will start to activate all the things that you spend all your life hiding. All the beautiful things you can do, all the great effects you can have on everyone and everything will just switch on and you'll feel good. Stay with that feel good, everything around you changes instantly. Every time it comes into your field and nobody runs into anyone, and the language of spirit starts to come into your life. And that's really the language of simplicity. I don't know how many people are familiar with computer language, but a high-level computer language is one where you don't have to do much coding. All the code that you used to use in the past to make things work is actually written into a higher level language which generates down, and you don't have to know how it works at all. The language of simplicity is what allows us to generate whatever's necessary in our life and maintain that 0 point where everything's perfect, where nothing can cause any difficulty. And if it looks like something's going to be difficult, it'll just move straight into it and blow it up into nothing. Like a child, you try to get them focused on something that they're not interested in, and they'll just turn their head. You can't get them to stay there because they're chasing their spirit. And even if you tie them down, they can't stay still because that's the flow, that's the movement, and that's where we're going all the time. And they only see the future. Even a memory comes from the future because that's what they're growing into. We're growing into a bigger future than you've ever known. The world is really a small place. but it has within it so many things that help us in so many ways, and we didn't really plan it. Like, how many people have experienced the fact that the right flowers grow in your area? The herbs that you need for your body will appear within 100 yards of where you live. They're just simple things, and they've proven over and over and over that the combination of elements around each person are the elements of the person. So now we're looking at how we affect the world. And if we can affect the world by jumping up and down and getting all stirred up, what do you think it's like if we just enjoy a special feeling that comes with that elation that we don't understand? Who said you had to understand? There's no need to understand, only to enjoy. It's like you get in a beautiful, they used to talk about the beautiful Rolls Royce. And you get in a beautiful Rolls Royce, you don't ask how the engine works. You enjoy the comfort of the ride. You don't get out and check the suspension. You just go, wow, that was beautiful. The ride that we're on is totally beautiful. And it's going to take us to wherever we want to go. None of us will need to actually service anything, because it will service itself. The power within each one of us is enormous. But the power around us is beyond belief. We switch one dimension on and our body goes, you switch 20,000 dimensions on and see what happens. And you can feel it straight away. And each person can do it. Simply and easily, because I said so. And there was no exercise and no thinking. It was just there. And you switch another dimension on, and there it is again. And they just grow. And all we have to do is be game enough to be so activated that we're going to jump out of our pants. And that is the thing that's going to have to be overcome by the energies. So while I'm sitting here talking to everyone, I can provide the fluid, if you like, that carries all this. Eventually, you'll all generate that same fluid so that you're all capable of being in the maximum performance condition of the body and the being that you are. Right now, I would say there's a difficult measurement, but I would say probably less than 1% of each person's energy is ever used, even in the most strenuous of work. Because I can stand with anyone and say, now switch that on, and switch that on, and switch that on, and switch that on, up your energy, come on, let's keep going, and it'll happen. You haven't had a reason to do that yet, because the fluid around you is the electromagnetic field of the earth and of each person. And if you look at it, it sort of folds back on itself all the time. Instead of sparkling, it goes, and says that's more comfortable, and mingles along and steadies itself whenever it needs to. But there we go. We've just had a look at the possibilities. And I want to take you all to a short break so that we can come back and play a little bit more with movement. The movement that I talk about in your personal supercomputer. And if we just relax and take 5 minutes off, I'm sure you'll be ready for the next session. Thank you. Well, we're back again. It was a good break for me. We were talking about all sorts of things, but the main thing that I wanted to let you feel was the drop off in the energy field in that 5-minute break. It feels quite different. So I'll gradually build it again and let everybody settle into that point where there's nothing once again. What we need to do for ourselves has to disappear. There is no need to do anything except enjoy your own presence. All the built up factors that say I should be this or I should be that, or I got to look this way, or I have to do good things, they all take away from the energy field that is the interface between you, the world, and the part of you that you've lost access to. That interface is being used up. And I think the closest thing to it would be as if each time you started to feel okay, someone came and kicked you in the shins. Then you get over that and they kick you again. Then you get over that and they kick you again. And that's what we all do to one another and to ourselves, because that interface between you and your being has been drawn into a static mode. It's like trying to drive down the road with one wheel locked up. It makes a lot of noise and causes a lot of difficulty, and eventually something fails. So the movement within each person has to be random, so that it will break out of that locked situation. While a child's movement is random, a tree is random, the flowers is never two the same. Everything is random, and you can feel, as I explain it, the energy starting to build again because of the random movement, of the random references. Anything at all to allow things to move generates that perfection of energy around you and allows you to retransmit it to everyone else. So it's not a defense system anymore. It's a combined dance. And it's a dance that everybody gets a thrill from. So as your field moves, it moves within everybody else. And it creates not a disturbance, but a thrill that allows you to enjoy things you've never enjoyed before. And in a young person, you can't get them to sit still because their sensitivities are such that they just get annoyed by having to stay still. This annoyance is true, and it happens every now and then with a young child, but you don't realize that's what we're all living in all the time. A constant state of annoyance. And the more you get annoyed with it, the more rules you make. And the more rules you make, the more annoyed you get. So you get to a point where you can't connect to anything. Then you go and complain or go and do a course that says this is how you connect. And the craziness is all you have to do is decide to let everything around you move. To walk yourself out into the trees, back over the water, over the top. Just move, walk around, look down on yourself, go out to where the cattle are, have a look down on the sailboats, go to another country, eyes open, didn't plan anything, but you're wandering around everywhere. And as you do that, you'll get a swagger up. And that swagger gives you another dimension. And each time you move, you've just built a whole universe of stuff that's perfect for you. And you don't have to know why or how. Because as I said, well, let's go for a walk. Everybody got up and went. And it didn't really stop until you went, oh, gee, what am I doing? So this is the influence that we can have on our world. And when we have that influence on our world, it invites everybody else along. The smallest of creatures just appear. The birds, you know, they're just so considerate of everything. We're sitting here out in the open and we've got very few sounds. But most times it's alive with all sorts of sounds and all sorts of interruptions. There's nothing that we did. We're just okay at moving and okay at advancing into the future. They make movies about this into the future, you know. But in fact, we can do 100 times that in a fraction of a second. We generate so many movies for ourselves that, you know, we really don't have to go and sit in a theatre. As we interact with one another, we realise that that's not all. There's so much more, because the interaction with ourselves, it keeps you so busy. You don't have to worry about interacting with anyone else. That happens naturally. The interaction with the being that you are is endless. It's an endless experiment of whatever you want. And it's all real. And if you really see how many times things just appear because that's the very thing that you were thinking of the other day, you'll realise that it's not you thinking about it, but you've already generated it, approved it, and then forgot about it until it arrived. They're the experiments that you can play with all day. There is no method. It always works. The thing that doesn't work is when you keep changing the order. Well, you know, it never gets here. You get cancellations on top of cancellations on top of cancellations, and you say, oh, gee, I'm disappointed. I really thought life would be different. Because you get up each day and you cancel what you produced yesterday because it didn't turn up. But in fact, it's a continuous flow, and all you have to do is move forward in front of it, and it'll meet you. It'll meet you at the most unusual times. Because it always has to come in a mystery package, you know. If it doesn't come in a mystery package, well, you're getting the same as what you got before. So no matter what turns up, you won't recognize it until it really opens up in front of you. So the analytical approach just makes you keep changing your order, because, you know, a package arrived, it doesn't belong to you because you didn't open it. You never know what is there for you. You never know who's going to deliver it or how it's going to turn up. And that's because there's not a game in the world that hasn't been delivered by people. The mystery of life is made by people. The mystery of your own being is made by yourself. And if you can just take that one extra step forward into where you've never been before, you don't have to do anything. It's always in front of you. Just take the one step and stand where everything's perfect, and you watch what happens. There it is. Feel the energy build. And none of us did anything. We took one step into where we're the most comfortable. To explain that a little from a logical point of view, the only way you can explain anything is if you stand back from it and look at it. Otherwise, how are you going to tell anybody? If you're standing in the middle of the bush or the middle of anything, that's your environment. And you can't tell anybody because you've got no comparison. So when you're standing in a place that you cannot describe, it's perfect. It's home, and you don't really care about anything because there is nothing that's out of place. So if you find you can describe your situation, you're not standing in the right place. So just go to where you have no idea what you're doing, or what you're saying, and where nothing is really happening except a really good feeling. And all of a sudden, you're in the middle of where you're supposed to be. And in that spot, in that world, in that multi-dimensional non-space, if you like, it's moving, and it's moving all the time. And so you have to chase it. And out comes spirit again. Aha, you're chasing me. Go, let's go. We'll get into this. And it goes wild. And your whole being goes, yes. And life is good again. Down to the finest of things, life becomes perfect. As part of the advancement of humanity, we're going to practice doing this from all different angles, from all different vibrations, from different places. Not until you get it, until you don't get it. Until all the stuff you thought you needed, you know you don't need. Just to walk out and smell the flowers, it's amazing. But when the flowers come to meet you, it's better. And they do. You'll start to get a particular smell coming around you and people will mention it. You'll get movement, sounds, everything visiting you, the trees, people. You won't even be surprised when they turn up. Events are a little bit different because events are at a distance. They're the things that you built to disturb your interface so that you've just got yourself in a corner again. You select a certain paint to paint yourself into a corner. And then wonder why nothing works. In everything that we produce, there'll be those waves of movement, and they'll go way beyond anything that we've ever thought of. And it's not distance, it's not dimensional, it's none of anything that we can say. That's our future. It's unique. It has nothing to do with now. Absolutely nothing. And we all knew that was the case when we came here. The description of even the most impossible doesn't even touch the areas we're dealing with. The beauty of our whole existence has no description. And the immense feeling of support and love has not even been considered yet. We produced a set of words, but we didn't really go there. We describe lots of things, but we really don't go there. We've got the wouldn't it be nices? Wouldn't it be nice to be there? Wouldn't that be great? Wow, that person's doing well. We live it every minute and program ourselves into the distance of that one step that we can just take naturally to be in the middle of it all. I'm not sure how we're going with time, but everything we do from here on will have no reason. We'll have no time, and we'll be totally stupid. If it's not, we haven't achieved what we're after, the impossible. If you're going to live in the middle of impossible, it's got to be impossible. And when you live in the middle of it, how are you going to describe it? So why worry about it? Just let's be in there, in the big mix of everything in the universe and beyond that we know we have access to. There is a growth that's beyond anybody's measure, and it's called the human entity, and it's growing extremely fast and worrying those who think they own it. Nobody owns it. It owns itself. And we're not only part of it, we're it. Each one individually and as a whole. In a method that was created from beyond the universe, that we can never understand, but we can enjoy. So the next few seconds is going to finish us up, and I'm really excited to take this further next time. I think it's probably next week. But what I would like to do is leave you with one little exercise, and that's the one of having a cape on which you call your energy field. And you just swing your cape at whatever pace so that it flops backwards and forwards and makes you feel elegant. And then it flips off out into the wind, and your energy field goes out through the trees, turns into sparkles, and starts bouncing around the universe. And the more you do that, the more you'll know you don't have to understand. So sparkles to everybody. And thank you so much for watching. See you later.